24 minutes past 7. There's nothing better than cracking open a can of fizzy, right? But there's concern a sweetener used in some food and drinks may be a cancer risk. The World Health Organization is set to declare aspartame as a possible carcinogen. So to tell us more, we're joined by Food Safe Director Keith Michael. Morena.
Morena.
Hey, thank you for coming in.
You're most welcome.
This, on the surface of things, sounds quite dangerous. Is it something that we should be scared of or concerned about?
No, I think the first thing is it's really good that the WHO is being proactive. So there's a few acronyms for us to get our heads around. So first of all, the World Health Organization has two main bodies. One's called the IARC, which is the cancer research arm that's passed this directive. They've got 4 categorizations of risk: whether something is a carcinogen, whether something is a probable carcinogen, whether something is a possible carcinogen, or something is not carcinogenic. And they base their evaluation on what's called research,
right,
scientific papers, etc. Now, there's another organization within the WHO called the JECFA, which is the Joint Expert Committee on Food Additives. And they're currently meeting as we speak. And they're expected to come out with directives to the regulators like MPI, Food Safety Authority for New Zealand, Australia, etc., by about the 18th of July,
right,
further down the track this month.
So it's that first organization within the WHO that you mentioned that has declared this a possible carcinogen.
Yes.
So what does that mean for people at home?
So this means, I think it's important to take things into context and evaluate how much of risk you're exposed to. That's how the regulator like MPI calculates risk. They're looking at 2 things. First of all, what sort of product is using this particular additive, and how much of this additive is being consumed. So MPI has a really useful information sheet on their website, and they calculate the rough exposure for the average kiwi at about 1.69 milligrams per kilogram in the context of your recommended daily intake, which is 40 milligrams per kilo of body weight. That's well below the exposure rate. It's important to also understand when something's a carcinogen, it doesn't necessarily mean you're going to get cancer. There's a few things that cause, the mutation. There's first of all the exposure to the food item in this case, or the food additive. Then of course there's environmental factors. There's your body's DNA makeup, etc.
What kind of what kind of products are we talking about here? We obviously mentioned some food, some fizzy drinks. What kinds of food and fizzy drinks are we talking about?
That's a really good question, Maddie. So MPI has a really good information sheet, as I mentioned earlier. They estimate with the research that about 70% of this additive comes in from beverages, so diet type cola. So if you see diet, regardless of the brand, you're probably consuming this. About 20% comes in from non-sugar sweeteners that people might have. And about 20% would come in from other food types of a product like a pudding and ice cream, etc.
I mean, it's not great news for those of us who do like to indulge in a little bit of fizzy drink from time to time.
And fair enough. I think it's important to take things in context, to understand that regulatory agencies like the WHO are taking things proactively.
Sure.
I think as with everything in life, we're living through a period of rapid change. So understanding that, making sure if you're getting your information, you're getting it from a peer-reviewed source, like the WHO or MPI in our context, or if you live across the Tasman and watching this, New Zealand Food Safety Authority, Australia, New Zealand. Also, if you're using a non-sugar substitute to help with weight loss, and that seems to be a fad on some platforms, just making sure you're checking in with a health professional like your doctor. And where possible, if you have the choice and it's practical, using a natural type of sugar. So there's other natural types of sources where you can get from the stevia plant, for example, etc.
So it's not, so say someone is at home going, oh, well, I drink diet colas all the time.
Yes.
It's not saying you are at risk of getting cancer. It's just saying with a significant amount, there is the possibility that this could lead to something like cancer.
Absolutely.
And you just need to be aware of what it is that's in the products you're drinking.
Absolutely. And just consider everything in moderation, as with all food and beverage. Based on the information we have as of today, as I mentioned, the Joint Expert Committee is meeting later this month, and they'll bring out some guidance for the industry.
And so what will that mean for us here in New Zealand? And
So this means we just need to stay tuned in to when this report comes out. And then, of course, we need to respond if you're a food company to the directive and any change in the actual levels allowed.
So there could be some changes in terms of the companies and how much of this product they use?
Potentially, yes. We don't want to preempt anything because the experts are obviously meeting. But I think that's important to take into account that, changes happen, and when they do and the regulator lets us know of a change in the numbers, we take that into account.
Food Safe Director Keith Michael, thank you so much for coming in and making it very understandable for us. We appreciate you breaking it down for us. Thanks, Keith.